All right, shalom. This GMS Wisconsin. We're gonna call this lesson that we will be doing on the Germans and how Edomites uh, liquidate they nation states and they monarchies into forming republics. Y'all know them as what states, but they really republics, meaning majority rules the few. So we're gonna go into that. I got Luke 8:17.
Okay, Luke 8:17.
I'll go further.
Okay. Want me to just read it?
Yeah.
Okay. This is Luke 8:17. For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad.
Yeah, abroad. Yeah, so Yahushua gave us the message to let us know that everything that was done in the secret councils and these hierarchy meetings that a lot of us brothers doing this truth in GMS world can't even imagine seeing ourselves at those meetings or even knowing about that information, actually getting to put the information together and bring it forward. So there is nothing secret that shouldn't come abroad. And it's coming through who? The GMS camps.
Yep.
By the time. We do another one.
Okay. This is Daniel 2:28. But there is a power in heaven that revealeth secrets.
His name is Yahushua.
And maketh known to the king of Nebuchadnezzar what shall be in the latter days.
Yeah, see that? What's going to be in the last days. That's why we breaking down how this world was set up and founded in the last days. And that's why we got to unravel it.
The structure. How the structure was lifted up from the bottom on up. And it say, and the visions of thy head upon thy bed are these.
Yeah, that is it.
Okay.
Yeah, y'all had y'all's scripture. You go first.
Alright, this is
just make sure you sound off though.
This is Micah 2:2. It says, and they covet fields and take them by violence.
Right. It's talking about Edomites, all nations, but especially Edomites. They cover fields and take it by violence. That's how they came over to America and took America down by violence. And when they set up their states as pilgrims on the earth, you had the Edomite French, Edomite Germans, Edomite Americans come over here and fight amongst each other. So they cover field and take it by violence.
And houses and take them away.
Yeah.
So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage.
Right. And that's exactly what they did to us, and they even do amongst each other.
Yes. And a perfect example of that is the time of the Romans. How all the kings was taking each other down, killing each other off.
Is it? So that's it.
This is Psalms chapter 49 verse 11. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations.
Exactly. That's why they teach all nations on the earth of heroic figures like Napoleon, like Bill Clinton, George Washington, Christopher Columbus.
Yep. Right, Christopher Columbus.
Right. No, I threw the FBI in there.
They call their lands after their own names. And that's what they do every time they go down and take down an empire or a republic. They set up their new banner and they called the land after their own name. Like Constantine, when he took down Western Anatolia, he called it Constantinople. Yep. Alexander, when he took down Egypt, he called it Alexandria. Yep. The same thing, because their whole idea is to honor themselves.
Yep. Like you got America for American Vespucci. You got Scipius Louis Africanos who took over Africa. You had go ahead, bro. Right. He took over Asia, which was the brother of Scipius Louis Africanos. That was his brother.
Yeah.
So the scriptures is dead on point about you Edomites. Martin Luther King Drive. Yep. Who else we got?
And then they took when they
Kennedy.
They took us down and they named that land Denmark. Comes up from the tribe of Dan. So
yeah, we try to give as many examples as possible.
Okay.
Alright, this is Psalms chapter 64 verse 6. They search out iniquities, they accomplish a diligent search.
Yep, that's the so-called white man. He searched out all the riches of the world, all the rulers, all the kings, all the resources, and he take them all, combine them together, and call it his own.
And
That's how
what this
America was
lesson,
made.
that's what this lesson is about. And finna show you how Germany was broken up and sealed back together by the philosophy of what this brother just told you.
Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep.
Yep.
Their mind is deep. They don't stop. They already got, while you finding out about one empire they set up, they didn't already set 4 other empires up and got 4 on the back that they got replanned to set back up. Okay, that's it. Go ahead.
This is Luke chapter 12, verse 2. For there is nothing covered that shall be revealed, neither hidden that shall be not known. Therefore, whatsoever ye have spoken in darkness shall be heard in the light, and what which ye have spoken in the ear in the closet shall be proclaimed upon the housetops.
It's just we got to bring it out. Everything that was done by Edomites or any other nation, it's our job and responsibility to bring it to the light, so the whole world can see it. Okay, we can go on to the book.
This is the book Pictorial History of Immigration.
Sit right. Pull your computer over because you should be sitting on the front.
This is page 127.
No, I'm gonna stand up. Because he shouldn't be like that.
Okay, go ahead.
This is page 127. It says, Napoleon had finally liquidated the moribund Roman Empire, but no significant federating arrangement took its place at his downfall. Austria and Prussia were the most powerful states, but many other sovereign jurisdictions shared control in Central Europe until 1870. Poets, historians, and philosophers nurtured a national sentiment attractive to the middle classes.
Right, like we were speaking to earlier. That's who you get to. The people that's under the rich and the elite and known family is the middle class. That's the engine. So you propaganda the engine with who? Poets,
Historians, and philosophers.
right. Now you need to get that rundown you hear.
Yeah, they use the poets to write poetry or to write stories or short stories or
Like
any
music.
type of or music to influence children and to influence the family model. To basically force public opinion.
Yep, that's what it's called.
And they use the historians to write the history books. There's a common quote that's it says history is written by the conqueree, not the conquered. So whenever you conquer or take down an organization or an establishment or a country, you have to write the history books in your favor. Just like goes back to they call their land after their own name. It's about honoring themselves and teaching that establishment that they just conquered to honor themselves as God. Yeah. And there's another quote that says history is a conglomerate of lies commonly agreed upon. Agreed upon who? Agreed upon those that are in power. It says, and philosophers nurtured a national sentiment attractive to the middle classes. The desire for unity flickered into life in 1848, but then subsided. Not until the Hohenzollerns and their Iron Chancellor Bismarck harnessed nationalism to the ambitions of the Prussian state did it have any practical effect. Then between 1860 and 1870, patriotic fervor, dynastic ambitions, and economic interests combined in the creation of unified Germany, which excluded the polyglot Austrian Empire.
Yeah, that's it. That's what we got to find. That's a good point. Okay. Yeah.
Read this one.
No, we got to go into the
Hohenzollerns.
yeah, the ones who took over.
Okay.
This is from Wikipedia. The House of Hohenzollern, or Hohenzollern. The House of Hohenzollern is a noble family in the royal dynasty of electors, kings and emperors of Brandenburg, Prussia, or Germany, and Romania. It originated in the area around the town of Hachingen in Swabia during the 11th century.
Right, that's how they do it. They take kingdoms and combine them together and get them a philosophy, get them a nation state, get them a national anthem, get them a national bird,
give them a flag.
Right, and they use the propaganda and tell a story in their favor to support those flags and the eagle and the banner and the
how
song.
it also came about.
Yeah. And after so many generations, you start with the kids back through the school system. That's why America adopted the school system from where?
Germany.
from Germany to treat people like what? Animals, not people.
Yep.
Called the communists. Go ahead.
It says it originated in the area around the town of Hachingen in Sweden, in Swabia, during the 11th century. They took the name from their ancestral home, the Burg Hohenzollern castle near Hachingen. The family uses the motto "Night since Deo," which means nothing without God. The family coat of arms has adopted in 1192 began as a simple shield, quarterly sable, and argent. A century later, in 1317, Frederick IV, Burggraf of Nuremberg, added the head and shoulders of a hound as a crest. Later accordingly reflected heiresses, marriages into the family. The family split into two branches: the Catholic Swabian branch and the Protestant Franconian branch.
Yes. But yeah, it all goes back to them forming these religions.
Yeah.
And you don't think they bring these religions right over here to America?
Want to do Versailles?
Yeah, exactly.
Go down.
It was on this one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We're just going to show you how this family has a lot to do with the Treaty of Versailles as well, and the breaking up of Germany. Yeah, it was 1918. There you go. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It says, the line of succession, 1918 to present. After the outbreak of the German Revolution in 1918, both Emperor Wilhelm II and the Crown Prince Wilhelm signed the document of abdication, which is the Treaty of Versailles, with effect only for their own person, despite the abolition.
And the Treaty of Versailles was Germany declaring that they was responsible for the Holocaust, and they took full responsibility, and they was going to pay all rights and give land ownership back to the rightful owner.
It says, despite the abolition of the German monarchy in 1918, the House of Hohenzollern never relinquished their claims to the thrones of Prussia and the German Empire. These claims are linked by the constitution of the Second German Empire. According to this, whoever was king of Prussia was also a German emperor. However, these claims are not recognized by the Federal Republic of Germany, and the German Constitution of 1949 guarantees democracy and republicanism.
Right. Which we going to actually show you on, even though this guy is a king, and they put him under a philosophy when he's supposed to be up under a monarchy, we're going to show you how did they even come about to even strip his monarchy king, which passing your rulership to your son, into this damn piece of paper, Constitution, which our president even said the Constitution ain't nothing but a damn piece of paper. So how did they get the power to tell him, no, you a king, you can't take your throne, that it's about this Constitution and so forth? That's what we finna go into that. That's what this is. The international law for historical perspective. Okay. Now we showing you how they strip these kings of their power. Did you finish that?
Yeah, that was it.
Okay. Start from again.
Yeah, just read it.
Okay. This is
Get it on
History of Public International Law. The history of public international law examines the evolution and development of public international law in both state practice and conceptual understanding.
Yeah, you better get some understanding. Right. It's going to give you the understanding. I'm only laughing because I read this ahead. So it's going to give you the understanding that you finna lose your king, nigga. That's what this means.
Modern international law developed out of Renaissance Europe. And
see that? See? Out of Renaissance Europe.
Yeah.
That's where this started to formulate, because they was getting rid of what? The king.
They was getting rid of all the kings.
Anybody want to get the scripture on that? That this king was more diverse than the other ones?
Oh, yep.
Yeah, because they had it got rid of the kings.
That's right. They bring in that one world.
Oh, the Republican Democrat. You got to vote this guy.
Yep.
The people. The Apocrypha?
Yeah, kind.
Because we going to show you, we basically showing y'all how did this came about. Because it don't supposed to be like this. Just like us being sovereign under Yahushua, but America made us a straw man. How did that come about?
That's the spirit.
How did that come about? So we finna answer some of these questions. We finna show y'all how they take monarchies from man, whole, family, and turn you into, you gotta follow this piece of paper.
Right.
That's democracy for you.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what all this is about.
This is First Maccabees 8:14. Yet for all this, none of them wore a crown, or was clothed in purple, to be magnified thereby.
Right, the purple and that's the majesty. That's
14.
the royal clothes.
Moreover, how they had made for themselves a senate house.
Right, that's your parliament, what they call it over there in Europe.
Right. Which this is coming from what? Coming from out of the Roman Empire?
Yep.
So coming from out of a king rulership into a senate with voting, with legislative, with voting.
Yep, judicials and all that
Yeah,
stuff. That's how they set that up. The legislative, judicial system, and it's the E one. Executive, executive, judicial, and legislative. Yep.
He gonna where you was at on here so he can catch it. He got the same thing you got.
Developed on Renaissance Europe.
Right.
Okay. Yep.
Finish right back into that.
It says, moreover, how they had made for themselves a senate house, wherein 320 men sat in council daily, which is now the day, consulting a way for the people to the end they might be well ordered. Right, and that's exactly what we got now today, because this is spiritually Rome. They set up the same system and format. Like I said, we stated earlier, they set up the system and foundation from the Roman Empire, and they spreaded it abroad now today.
So this proved that the actual Germans know that they from Rome. And you best believe them Romans know they from Greek.
Yep.
So then you best believe that them Greeks know they Edomites.
Exactly. Right. Verse 16. And they committed their government to one man every year.
See that? There you go. And that's what you getting out of this. They taking the king and basically voting and making the what's called president.
Yep.
Prime minister.
Right.
A chancellor.
Mm-hmm. Who ruled over all their country, and that all were obedient to that one. And that there was neither envy nor emulation among them.
This is back in the Wikipedia, the history of public international law. Modern international law developed out of Renaissance Europe and is strongly entwined with the development of Western political organization at that time. Mm-hmm. The development of European nations, of sovereignty and nation states would necessitate...
European notions.
Oh, slightly. The European notions of sovereignty and nation states would necessitate the development of methods for interstate relations and standards of behavior.
Right.
See that? See how they setting up all the rules?
Yep.
These is the foundations of the rules of trade and how states deal with each other today. This is how it's all being set up under this history of public international law.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And these would lay the foundation of what will become international law. However, while the origin of the modern system of international law can be traced back 400 years, the development of the concepts and practices that would underpin that system can be traced back to the ancient historical politics and relationships thousands of years old. Important concepts are derived from the practice between Greek city-states
See that?
and the Roman law concept.
See that? They know who their ancestors are.
Exactly.
And I'm talking about all these Edomites, and one know who their ancestors and where their lineage go back to, the Greeks and the Romans. So they took both of them concepts and brought it to our modern international world today.
Yep.
This ain't no American law. This is American, British, French, all of the Edomites. This is the foundation of how they set their societies up.
Yep. Can I interject this real quick?
Go ahead.
Daniel. Okay, this is Daniel 7:7. And after this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it. And it had 10 horns. Right, that's talking about your Roman establishment. Now this document just proved that they got their historical, blueprint, you could say, from Rome.
Yeah.
So that's why we're bringing out the scriptures that's basically 100% correct. That's how we know that they the Edomites. Okay.
And I got a scripture for that too. First Maccabees. Hold
on.
Okay.
Go into because he got to do this first.
Okay.
All right. This Revelations chapter 13, because this the beast basically. And it says, and I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Right. So your 7 heads is the Romans, the Spanish, the French, the Germans, the British, the Britons, the Russians, NATO, America, and Europe, which is the 10, also the 10 horns.
Yeah, because it's all one conglomerate.
Yeah, right.
They're inexchangeable.
Right. It says, and upon his horns 10 crowns. And it says, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard. It says,
The Greeks,
and his feet were as the feet of a bear,
the Russians,
and his mouth as the mouth of a lion.
the England, talking shit.
It says, and the dragon gave him his power
NATO,
and his seat and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death. Right, and that's the Roman Empire. It says,
because what's his name?
Septimius Severus.
Septimius Severus.
He the one you got to talk to.
Septimius Severus.
Right. He the one that took one of the heads down.
It says, and his deadly wound was healed. That's the reemergence of the Roman style political world. Yeah.
Which what we going into now with this history of public international law.
That started all in the Renaissance.
That's why it tells you it comes from the classical Greeks and the Romans.
Right. It says, and all the world wondered after the beast. Right. So all the nations in the world is basically up under the
That's why it's called public international law.
Right.
This is international. But this is the actual beast philosophy of what this brother reading to you out of Revelation 3:1 through 5.
Right.
He actually reading it to you.
It says, and they worshiped the dragon,
Right.
which gave power unto the beast. And they and they worshiped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him?
Right. Who can make war with America and the EU?
Right, nobody, because they have the most advanced
Ask Gaddafi.
right military.
Ask Saddam Hussein.
Mubarak from Egypt.
Right. Ask them who can make war with the beast. Nobody. You still got your point?
It says,
That's it.
Right. Yeah, that was it.
Okay.
Oh well, yeah. Here you go. Verse 5, Slaki.
That's why I said 1 through 5.
Yeah. It says, and there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And it says, and he opened his mouth in blasphemy against the Most High to blaspheme.
Right. And of course they blasphemy because when these two families, what's their name?
Hohenzollerns.
Right. When them two families broke up, they claimed themselves as what? Protestant. And what was the other one? Catholic.
Catholic, yeah.
So that's blasphemy against the Lord.
Yep.
When you know you a damn Edomite and
Right.
the devil.
Right.
And they set their whole name and state up and put the information on the internet. They like of God.
Mm-hmm.
And then do you know that what they even name they coat of arms is basically called without God.
Mm-hmm.
Like they couldn't do this without God. That's
Right.
bluntly what they say.
Right, exactly. And then you at least know y'all get the power from the Most High to even rule. So to take God out of the face, you know, that's basically a spit in the face, man.
They call it not nihil sine dio, which means nothing without God.
Yeah. So it says, and he opened his mouth in blasphemy against the Most High to blaspheme his name.
And yes, he did. He got rid of that name. Don't nobody know that name, Yahweh Shah.
Yeah, because
They made sure you know Jesus Christ and Allah.
Yeah. And Yahweh.
Jehovah.
That's it.
It says, and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven.
Yeah. Relied on all the apostles, the angels, everything. So that's it.
This is Obadiah chapter 1 verse 3. Say, the pride of thy heart have deceived thee.
Right. So you set this history of public international law up, but guess what? That pride you set up is deceived you. Why? Because you actually have brothers who ain't been to no college or only got 2 years of college actually breaking down what you so-called learned smart man developed and put together today.
They tried to get this established throughout their whole time of rule.
Right.
Yeah.
And I ran into this on accident.
Right.
Go ahead.
Thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rocks,
Edomites. We talking to all Edomites.
whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring thee down to the ground?
Okay. So we're gonna go back into this, so we won't lose this spirit real fast.
This is back in the history of public international law. It says Greek city-states in Roman law concept of ius gentium, which regulated contacts between Roman citizens and the Roman people. Now, when you go back to this word ius gentium, it basically means, it says ius gentium or jus gentium. Latin means law of nations.
Right. See that this is the law of the nation, set up from their ancestors, from the Greeks and the Romans. Okay, let's keep going.
Is a concept of international law within the ancient Roman legal system and Western law traditions, based on or influenced by it. The ius gentium is not a body of statute law or a legal code, but rather customary law thought to be held in common by all gentes or peoples or nations,
Right.
in reasoned compliance with standards of internal conflict. So that just bluntly tells you right there that that the Western Hemisphere, every law concept that they have regulates from Rome and Greece. Okay.
That's how we know it lines up with you Edomites right now, the scriptures. And that's how we know the scriptures is on point.
Mm-hmm.
So
this is the early history. It says basic concepts of international law, such as treaties, can be traced back thousands of years. Early examples of treaties include around 2100 BC an arrangement between the rulers of the city-states of Lagash and Umma in Mesopotamia, inscribed on a stone block, setting a prescribed boundary between their two states. Around 1000 BC, an arrangement was signed between Ramses II of Egypt and the king of the Hittites, establishing eternal peace and brotherhood.
Right. So they actually just jump down to the Romans. They just giving you a history of the ancient world on actual documents that they have showing city-states, have peace treaties with each other.
It says the Roman Empire did not develop an international law, as it acted without regard to any external rules in the dealings with those territories that were not already part of the empire.
Right, because to the Romans, they wasn't going to agree with nobody because it was either Rome live or that's it.
right.
Their attitude was Rome over all. That's it. We don't bow down or agree with nobody.
Right.
That's how America is.
Yeah, America's the same way.
America.
America got that same pump.
Yeah.
We don't bow down and we don't make treaties with peasants or barbarians or any of that. And what America say? We don't do treaties with what?
Terrorists.
Exactly.
Same attitude.
Yeah.
And the
Same people.
terrorist is propaganda to create a boogeyman.
Right. Just like they created a boogeyman back then.
Yeah.
All them the barbarians.
Mm-hmm.
They foreign what they used to call them no man's people.
Yep.
Raising
No man.
animals and shit
Yeah,
like
no
that.
man,
No
yeah.
morals, no values,
Savages.
women, all of that.
As a matter of fact, back then they used to say the glory of Rome, and now they say God bless America.
Right.
Same
Exactly.
thing.
Same thing.
It says the Romans did, however,
It's like because the glory of Rome was what they gods.
yeah. However, form municipal laws governing the interaction between private Roman citizens and foreigners.
Like they got here.
These laws, called the jus gentium or ius gentium, as opposed to the jus civile, governing interactions between citizens, codify some ideas of basic fairness and attributed some rules to an objective, independent national law. These jus gentium ideas of fairness and national law have survived and are reflected in modern international law.
Right. And Esau had to give what's called natural law because they naturally want to steal and take everything, kill you, and get jealous and say, no, I'm going to kill you. It's called the purge. National state.
Yeah, John 10.
National state. Go ahead.
This is John chapter 10, verses 10.
Right under it.
The thief cometh not, but for to steal and to kill,
And because Esau understand that that's the real spirit of his people, he governed them with these natural laws. So he actually implement God laws back into his world to fit what he wants to at least conduct the world.
So he personalized.
Yeah. What he wants.
It says, and to destroy, I am come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly.
Right. So it's a difference.
This is nation states. It says, after the fall of the Roman Empire, the collapse of the Holy Roman Empire into dependent cities, principalities, kingdoms, and nations, for the first time there was a real need for rules of conduct between a large international community. Without an empire or a dominant religious leadership to moderate and direct international dealings, most of Europe looked to Justinian's code of law from the Roman Empire and the canon law of the Catholic Church for inspiration. Which the canon law of the Catholic Church was the 5 books of Moses. Yeah. International trade was the real catalyst for the development of objective rules of behavior between states. So, in between empires, when an empire goes down, you have nothing but chaos because everyone's fighting for rulership. So they had to set up some type of law to govern everyone, so everything won't come to naught, so they won't tarnish their agenda. Without a code of conduct, there was little to guarantee trade or protect the merchants of one state from actions to another. Economic self-interest drove the evolution of common international trade rules. The most importantly, the rules and customs of maritime law.
Right. That was the first highway. So what do you think the first heist was happening on the seas? So they had to get that maritime law in there because them the biggest heist. All that cargo.
Yeah, the trade. Yeah.
Like the new movie Captain Phillips. Yeah. When they had the pirates, they still have pirates today, jacking whole cruise ships and taking their cargo.
Yeah, America part of that. That's what they signed some of the Navy fleets down there for to escort those ships back and forth now. Yeah. All of them got it now. Britain got it. America got it. All big states have protection now. Mm-hmm. That's another police force that they established.
As international trade, exploration, and warfare became more involved and complex, the need for common international customs and practices became even more important. The Hanseatic League, of the more than 150 entities in what is now Germany, developed many useful international customs, which facilitated trade and communication among other things. The Italian city-states developed diplomatic rules. As they began sending ambassadors to foreign capitals, treaties, agreements between governments intended to be binding became a useful tool to protect commerce. The horrors of the 30 Years' War, meanwhile, created an outcry for rules of combat that would protect civilian communities.
Go down this one. Because he's just jumping through the time periods of how it started to develop itself.
This is the League of Nations. Following World War I, as after the 30 Years' War, there was an outcry for rules of warfare to protect civilian populations, as well as the desire to curb invasions. The League of Nations, established after the war, attempted to curb invasions by enacting a treaty agreement providing for economic and military sanctions against member states that use external aggression to invade or conquer other member states. An international court was established, the Permanent Court of International Justice, to arbitrate disputes between nations without resorting to war.
And that's where that cartoon propaganda come from, the League of Nations. Because when you look at that cartoon, all them characters go back to that time period. Where you think Iron Man come in?
Right.
I mean, not Iron Man. I'm sorry, Captain America.
Yeah.
It was that same time period. League of Nations, Captain America, and all them Super Friend bullshit.
Yeah. Right, the Justice League.
Yeah,
Justice League,
exactly.
that's what all that's about. Because what the Justice League about doing? Going around the world and stopping guys from committing crimes on whole little villages and
different.
Towns. That's what they do. They use their superpower to do that. Them the elites showing you how they rule the world behind the scenes.
Exactly.
That's what that League of Nations bullshit is.
Yeah.
That's them portraying that they need superhero.
Yeah.
Because they have modernized the world right in front of our face.
The whole
so
world
they bring, and how they do it, they actually bring to the forefront what's called new innovative technology of weaponry on the battlefield. That's what they whoop your ass. That's what they about. And they've been doing it. That's why when you do the whole Captain America and all that, when Captain America go into the government, what he find out about them? That they've been developing high power weapons.
That's right. That's in the new movie. The new one, the Avengers.
The Avengers.
Yeah.
Tony Stark.
Exactly. He found out that he was using them for non-conventional uses. Yeah. So.
And why? Because they ran into a phenomenon that they couldn't stop. It was called a higher power.
Yeah.
When that goddamn sky cracked open, they said we gotta get some real shit for these motherfuckers coming for us.
And that organization exists today. It's called DARPA.
Yeah. And then they just do it to stay ahead of the curve. Basically, like
they're getting ready for us.
Yeah.
It says, meanwhile, many nations signed treaties agreeing to use international arbitration rather than warfare to settle differences. International crisis, however, demonstrated that nations were not yet committed to the idea of giving external authorities a say in how nations conduct their affairs. Aggression on the part of Germany, Italy, and Japan went unchecked by international law, and it took a Second World War to end it. This is the post-war era. After World War II, as after the First World War and the 30 Years' War, there was a strong desire to never again endure the horrors of war endured by the civilian populations. The League of Nations was reattempted through another treaty organization, the United Nations.
Right. Which brought you all the way to today.
Where you have a conglomerate of different soldiers from different city-states that's within the league that they created with the League of Nations under NATO.
Everybody give up their sovereign and say they are now a united nation fighting force. That's why we was outside. I told that boy, you waived your constitutional rights. You gave up your right of freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, and freedom of having a weapon. And you declared yourself as an American United Nation fighting force. So you can't own your gun, dummy. And that's why you got mad. But go ahead.
It says, the post-war era has been highly successful one for international law. International cooperation has become far more commonplace, though of course not universal. Importantly, nearly 200 nations are now members of the United Nations and have voluntarily bound themselves to its charter. Even the most powerful nations have recognized the need for international cooperation and support, and have routinely sought international agreement and consent before engaging in acts of war. International law, of course, only partly about the conduct of war. Most rules are civil, concerning the delivery for mail, trade, shipping, air travel, and the like. Most rules are obeyed routinely by most countries because the rules make life easier for all concerned. The rules are rarely disputed, but some international law is extremely political and hotly debated. This includes not just the laws of warfare, but also such matters as fishing rights.
So yeah, this right here was actually just going and showing you the steps in history, how the League of Nations came in, how the United Nations came in, and was a partaker in grouping these states together.
And when you call the pages, make sure you let me know, because I got the scriptures.
Okay,
each one's for the song.
Well, this is page 130 of the pictorial history of immigration. It says,
Didn't you just read 13?
Yeah.
We jumped again.
those who possessed funds to take them directly to farms in the West settled immediately as landowners. The ideals of independent proprietorship and of agriculture as the way of life were attractive. Even those who had never themselves tilled the soil at home felt a romantic desire for closeness to nature. In Belleville State, Clare County, Illinois, for instance, a cluster of university graduates, disillusioned with the failures of liberals in Europe, settled down to the plow, and from their habit of reading became known among curious neighbors as Latin farmers.
I ain't gonna even go to the first section.
Yeah, we read this too.
Yeah, that's it.
So yeah, that was the spirit.
Yeah, go to the next one.
Okay.
Page 130. Yeah, this page 131.
It says, these were exceptional instances. Most immigrants made their way to farms in individual families. Nevertheless, their preference for being together produced a natural clustering along the routes they traveled out of the ports of the interior. From New York, Philadelphia, and Baltimore, they moved into the Ohio Valley, and after 1850 to Iowa and Wisconsin. From New Orleans by way.
Right now, if they moved here in Wisconsin in 1850, when we did that lesson of Reuben Deming, that was 1850. We show in this book in 1850 they had us here as slaves. So when that officer outside, that German officer, talking about my people didn't have nothing to do with your people, we was up here in Wisconsin. This book just states that your people was up here in Wisconsin in 1850.
Yep.
We was up in here in 1850, being enslaved, getting on them damn boats, and we had Reuben Deming trying to save us. Yep. So what is you talking about? Oh, so you was lying if you, for some odd reason, get to watch this. Because you know they stupid. They don't get to know the real shit on knowledge. Okay. Yep. The elites get to watch these videos. Go ahead, man.
It says, from New Orleans, by way of St. Louis, they advanced into Missouri and southern Illinois. It says, everywhere the German farmers exhibited common traits that earned them a reputation for tight-fistedness and industry. Not for them, the wasteful practices of the Native American pioneer. Thrifty, hard-working, and disciplined. The Germans preferred to exhaust their own bodies rather than the soil. The women and children toiled long hours, as did the men, and more effort went into the construction of barns and the care of animals than on comforts for the home or on the fripperies of dress. Prudence was the watchword, at least for the first generation. The memory of what they had escaped was too frightening to permit the risk of the decline back into dependence. A substantial number of Germans also settled in the cities. Many remained in the great ports of arrival, notably New York, Philadelphia, and Baltimore, which handled most of the shipping from Germany. They were less likely to settle in New Orleans, where Negro slaves were the labor force.
See that? They had options. See that? Yeah. The Germans had options. We didn't have options. All you blacks, you was designated to the labor camps.
Right.
The Germans, they got off. They said, "Where all these niggas going?" They was like, "Oh, they destined to the labor camps. Anybody going to Philadelphia hit the labor camps."
Yep.
They was like, "That's the only boat leaving." They said, "No. You get to go to either New York or yeah. You get to pick the other one. We didn't get that option though."
Nope.
It says, in the interior, the most important settlements were at Cincinnati, St. Louis, Chicago, and Milwaukee. These newcomers to the cities developed their own institutions and social organizations.
See that? See how they got to develop their own institution and their own social.
Yeah, we weren't even part of this social.
No, we was destined to go to the labor camps. Right. It just said in New Orleans, the Negroes had to go to, they were the labor force. They said, no, you blacks ain't here to have no, to social and get no relationship and have no kids. Y'all here to slave, to serve slavery.
Yep.
So in 1850, you blacks was over here for slavery.
In Milwaukee.
Right. And you was destined for these camps.
Yep.
These newcomers to the cities developed their own institutions and social organizations. Although many were laborers, there were more artisans among the Germans than among the Irish. Artisan is a skilled worker, a person with a skilled trade.
Yeah, they had more skill. They say the T-men.
They needed some blacks.
But it said the T-men were smarter than everybody.
Yeah.
That's the Germans.
Yeah.
So of course they're gonna have skilled laborers. Yeah. We know y'all got this shit from the scriptures.
The German butcher and baker, for instance, became familiar figures in many towns. Yeah. From these shops, it was a short step to extensive business, at least for the most fortunate. That's why your bakeries and Panera Bread and all those bakery chains come from the Germans.
Yeah, and we know that around here.
Yeah.
These motherfuckers German. You can tell that they kind of German. Okay, let's go to the scriptures. To Facts. Proverbs 22:7.
This is Proverbs 22:7. The rich ruleth over the poor.
See that? The rich rule over the poor. The damn Germans, they had social clubs and shit to start, while the blacks was designated to what? Labor camps.
Yep. Servitude. And the borrower is servant to the lender.
Right. So that's why these Edomites got a head up on us, than anybody. So our generation looking at the other nation kids and your peers, and you trying to relate yourself to their income, not knowing that they ancestors got to come here and start social clubs and businesses while your people came here to do free. Don't forget, it was always free. Shit, labor shit. So you can't compete with that.
No.
That's all it's in there.
Okay, Deuteronomy.
Yeah, Song of Solomon.
It also goes to show you, as much as you niggas want to integrate into American society, there's no possible way you can, because you're never a part of it.
Mm-hmm. This is Songs of Solomon 1 and 5. I am black,
This
but
the Solomon speaking. He said, I am black, but
comely,
handsome.
O ye daughters of Jerusalem.
Talking to you low self-esteem motherfuckers.
As the tents of Kedar.
Right, you black women who got that dark skin, you black men who got that dark skin.
As the curtains of Solomon.
Right, as his house, his rulership.
Look not upon me because I am black.
Right, stop getting mad and letting this world teach you that propaganda of, and learn to be black and proud for real.
Mm-hmm.
And you Latins too, because y'all black as hell. The Mexicans.
Over there in Mexico.
Yeah, and y'all get teased by the lighter Mexicans too.
Yeah.
Yep. Because the sun had looked upon me.
Right.
My mother's children were angry with me.
See, so our ancestor Solomon knew that these damn German and these other Edomites was gonna have us over in this land doing what?
They made me the keeper of the vineyards.
Read that where we was going, where they was going out the book one more time. Let's see where we was going. Let's see where they was going.
This is back in page 131 of Pictorial History.
This is history out of a historical history book.
Yep.
By the way.
This is back in page 131 of his Pictorial History of Immigration. It says, a substantial number of Germans also settled in the cities. Many remained in the great ports of arrival, notably New York, Philadelphia, and Baltimore, which handled most of the shipping from Germany.
See that? Took them right in. Yeah. Oh, y'all Germans on because y'all come this way. Y'all go that way. Y'all good. Y'all stay here on the port. Look how nice it look here. Right. Why you want to leave? Why? Where you going? Okay, if you is going to leave, look, go to Philadelphia. Yeah. Go to New York. That's where all the rest of the Germans came in. Look, we got some of y'all good. Tell me them ain't y'all goods from Germany. Well, guess what? You want to go. Them blacks, where they going?
They were less likely to settle in New Orleans, where Negro slaves were the labor force.
See? You blacks, no, y'all going, y'all know where y'all going.
The labor force.
Right, y'all the labor force. So that's the point. And this was Solomon's talking about.
Yep. Back in it says, my mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyards. But my own vineyard have I not kept.
Right. We don't tilt our own land. We over here working for these motherfuckers.
Yep.
Servitude.
It's back in Obadiah.
Go ahead.
It's back in Obadiah chapter 1 verse 8. It says, shall I not in that day, say the Lord, even destroy the wise men out of Edom, and understand out of the mount of Esau, and mighty men, and thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed.
Yep. You Edomites, you Germans, y'all the smart Temans.
To the end that every one of mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter.
So a lot of y'all gonna die according to Obadiah 1 and what verse is that?
1 and 9.
Obadiah 1 and 9. Y'all deal with that. We talking to you Germans. There's a special shout out to T-Men. Germites. Edomites.
Germs.
Right. Okay.
Okay, this is Deuteronomy 28 and 30. Thou shalt betroth the wife.
Right, we had one.
And another man shall lie with her.
Right, see that? We was doing slavery in 1850.
Yep. Thou shalt build an house.
Right, we was building them. And I got photos of that in the camera.
Mm-hmm. And thou shalt not dwell therein.
No, you was just the carpenter. You don't live there.
12 years a slave.
12 years a slave.
Yeah, I was building a house.
Yeah, it makes you bring that in.
Thou shalt plant a vineyard and shalt not gather the grapes.
Right, they had us out there.
Thereof.
They out there. Dude passed out on their ass, remember?
Yep.
When he first started?
Oh, yeah,
he just fell out
yep.
on 12 years of slavery. I said it straight. As soon as I seen it, I laughed to keep from crying. But I said he dead. Because he dropped too hard. So they used to work you to your death.
Yep. Yep, when they was in the field, yep. And they just showed that was the prophecy that King Solomon was talking about the vineyard and all that. Now this scripture was in Deuteronomy. It was telling the curse, and Solomon was prophesying on what was going to happen. So those two prophecy scriptures.
Yeah, take the back to it.
Okay, so It says, verse 31, thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes, and thou shalt not eat thereof.
Right, because they was too busy giving us chitlins from the pigs.
And thou shalt not eat thereof. Thine ass shall be violently taken away from before thy face, and shall not be restored to thee. Thy sheep shall be given unto thine enemies, and thou shalt have none to rescue them.
Right, white man can make any charges on yours.
Thy sons and daughters shall be given unto another people.
And that was happening. We was being sold. We was being sold in 1852.
Nope. And thine eyes shall look and fail with longing.
And they showed that on 12 Years of Slavery. She cried for days.
Yep.
And she actually told him, he said, why is you steady crying? Like he finally had to come to the understand, like, why is, like, she ain't gonna literally shut up.
Nope.
And she told him, like, how would you feel?
Eliza. Stop! Stop your wailing. You let yourself be overcome by sorrow, you will drown in it.
Have you stopped crying for your children? You make no sounds, but will you ever let them go in your heart?
They are as my flesh.
Then who is distressed? Do I upset the master and the mistress? Do you care less about my loss than their well-being?
Master Ford is a decent man.
He is a slaver.
Under the circumstances.
Under the circumstances, he's a slaver. But you truckle at his boot.
No.
You luxuriate in his favor.
I survive. I will not fall into despair. I will offer up my talents to Master Ford. I will keep myself hardy till freedom is opportune.
So Ford is your opportunity? You think he does not know that you are more than you suggest? But he does nothing for you. Nothing. You are no better than prized livestock. Call for him. Call. Tell him of your previous circumstances and see what it earns you, Solomon. So you settle into your role as Platt then?
My back is thick with scars for protesting my freedom. Do not accuse me.
I accuse you of nothing. I cannot accuse. I have done dishonorable things to survive, and for all of them, I have ended up here. No better than if I had stood up for myself. God, forgive me. Solomon, let me weep for my children.
And fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand.
And there wasn't no might in her hand, too. 12 years of slavery. I don't know if you're going to be able to get that post-production. I got 12 years of slavery at home on DVD.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got color.
The fruit of thy land and thy labor shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up.
Right, that's talking to you North American Indians and you Mexicans. It's a correct. It's talking to y'all.
And thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always.
Right, and they showed that in 12 years of slavery. When they had our ass out there working in the field, who ran up on us?
Yeah.
And what we was doing, got our dance on. That's probably the only time we was able to have a social.
That's right.
Where we can really interact with people who we want to interact with. Who don't look at us as no threat. Yeah, I'll bring the movie over. I don't know how you're going to get both those.
I can probably get off the movie quick.
Okay. Like this one.
This is page 133. This is from a caption of a picture. It says the Goodrich.
No, just these two.
Okay. The Goodrich Docks, Chicago, at the end of the 19th century. Library of Congress.
Right, and see, it's the reason why this at Library of Congress, because Library of Congress was founded at the Library of Alexandria, their forefather in ancient Egypt.
Yep.
Alexandria, Egypt. But this is in the Library of Congress. It's in this book. But when you actually take a look, see, you got to be looking. When you look, what it say?
It says,
now if you look to the left side, where there's a billboard, right, before you jump off in the water, kill yourself. Because back then, if you was living then, yeah, kill yourself being an Israelite. But they actually got a sign up.
It says Milwaukee. It says $1. Milwaukee, Christopher Columbus, Goodrich Docks.
See that? Got his name right up there posted. They old ancestor. Right there. Nowadays, they just put a statue up, make him seem like some ancient guy. But back then, they actually had billboards letting you know that this is the port. What you think he poured in?
Yep, on that port.
On them ports. So who you think they dedicated them ports to? Wouldn't that be right to show respect to your ancestor like that?
Yep.
If he pulled in on the port and established a land from you, wouldn't you at least put his name on the port? So that's why his name on the port. You can't, knock them for that. Let's move on to the next one.
And it says, a butcher. This is next caption.
Yeah.
It says,
lower page on page 133. Bottom picture.
It says a butcher shop on South Canal Street, Chicago, 1901.
Right, and the only reason why I put this out here is to show how them crackers, them Edomites, was able to go to butcher shops and so forth and get their food cut, slabs, and all of that. While we was at the slave quarters picking up after the pig, and is it okay if we can even kill this animal? 9 times out of 10, we got him when he was dead anyway.
After the master got all his,
good part.
Good part,
yeah.
Right.
Gave us the chitlins and the ham hocks and
Right.
shit.
I mean, see what y'all can get out of that, and just threw it out there.
It says Library of Congress.
We ain't got too much. Right there, that top is about that money. Page 134.
This is page 134 of
About that money.
Okay. It says the 3 Seligman brothers.
So now what we're going to go in is actually showing you how these Germans went about establishing themselves over here in this country, America. Now you see they got places to go, they got ports, they got cities waiting on them. They giving comfort to establish themselves, and we're going to actually show you not only that they have schools, libraries, social clubs, businesses, but how they even got into the most important, the monetary system.
It says the 3 Seligman brothers, Joseph, Jesse, and Henry, had each operated a dry goods or general store in Alabama, New York, and California. After they arrived from Bavaria in 1837, in 1857 they became partners in New York City and opened a brokerage house.
Yeah.
5 years later, they went into banking. In 1880, the firm had
See that?
branches.
Good. Ain't been over here no longer than what, 7 years? 8 years?
Got a stockbroker firm.
Right.
Right.
Come right over here, 7 years, stockbroker firm, bank firm. How long you been over here? In 7 years. Guess what a black man did in 7 years? Went to school. No, I'm saying the successful ones.
Oh, okay, right.
The only thing we've been accomplishing that 7 years is school. I mean, basically got the trait to know how to do the work. And you might get a year or 2 of labor at the job. That's it. You ain't going to get to own nothing.
No, right. If you get some bachelor's degree, you probably got your social degree or something like that,
Right.
but that's it.
Right. And they talking about you got to be an intern.
Right.
It says 5 years later, they went into banking. And
So you Edomites had the door open for y'all.
Yeah.
So don't sit here and tell us that when everybody migrated over here
Everybody had an
to
opportunity.
America that everybody went through hardship, everybody got discriminated on, everybody wasn't a part of this system and had to bind themselves with their people and make themselves something. So basically what you're trying to say to us blacks is that we never tried to come together and establish nothing.
Well, none of
when
the
we
tribes.
did, it got
But
bombed.
but when we actually bring it out.
Yeah, when we did, it got bombed. 1921, Little Africa in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They call it the
Black
They
Wall
called it
Street.
Black Wall Street.
Remember that?
The date was June 1st, 1921, when Black Wall Street, the name fittingly given to one of the most affluent all-black communities in America, was bombed from the air and burned to the ground by mobs of envious whites. In a period spanning fewer than 12 hours, a once thriving 36-block black business district in northern Tulsa lay smoldering, a model community destroyed, and a major African-American economic movement resoundingly diffused. The night's carnage left some 3,000 African Americans dead and over 600 successful businesses lost. Amongst these were 21 churches, 21 restaurants, 30 grocery stores, and 2 movie theaters, plus a hospital, a bank, a post office, libraries, schools, law offices, and a half-dozen private airplanes, and even a bus system. As could be expected, the impetus behind it all was the infamous Ku Klux Klan working in consort with ranking city officials and many other sympathizers. The description of Black Wall Street, or Little Africa as it was also known, would be to liken it to a mini Beverly Hills. It was the golden door of the black community during the early 1900s, and it proved that African Americans had successful business infrastructure. That's what Black Wall Street was all
They got
about.
bombed to hell.
And look that up, Black Wall Street. Well, we did establish that these crackers, and I'm pretty sure some of these crackers that established themselves, these German crackers, that they actually jealous and bomb our stuff. But go ahead into banking. I'm dragging.
It says 5 years later they went into banking, and in 1880 the firm had branches in London, Paris, and Frankfurt.
Now, how that happen? How you come over here from, where would they come from?
Bavaria.
Come over here, 7 years later, establish a firm. I'm pretty sure, so when you're doing all that illegal stuff under the law, you'll know how to, know the law to keep yourself from going to jail. Now you over in London establishing all these other banks. Now you got international banks.
Embezzlement.
Right.
It says, such men were as exceptional as Heinrich Schliemann, who came from Pomerania to California in 1851, made a fortune in the gold rush, and later went off to excavate ancient Troy.
Yeah.
Most tradespeople, however, did not rise, but spent their lives in their little shops, earning enough to elevate themselves above the level of laborers. Retailers formed a significant middle-class element among the more numerous working people with whom they migrated. In the large cities, German neighborhoods were easily recognized. In Cincinnati, for instance, the area known as Over the Rhine was solidly Teutonic. English was almost a foreign language, and distinctive shops had beer gardens, reflective, and tastes of the immigrants. Everywhere, too, newspapers in their own language served their needs.
See, there it goes. So they actually had their world real established here. One this hardship that you being told now through their kids that my parents had to do all this hard. That's a goddamn lie. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. This is Psalms 49:6. They that trust in their wealth and boast themselves in the multitude of their riches,
Like these Germans.
none of them can by any means redeem his brother, nor give to the Most High a ransom for him.
Right. So even though you Edomite set up y'all society and helped y'all own Edomite brothers out, well, I don't care what nationality y'all want to call yourself, y'all know y'all Edomite. So you ain't gonna be able to give each other no ransom with that money when it comes to this Persian that's coming with the missiles and these race riots and these concentration camps. It ain't gonna help you.
For the redemption of their soul is precious, and it ceaseth forever.
Redemption comes from redeeming.
Yep.
From buying back.
Yep.
And Lord ain't never picked them to buy them back. Go ahead.
James chapter 5 verse 1. Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your misery that shall come upon you.
Yep, and that's what's going to come upon you. Nothing but destruction, famine, sickness, diseases, and that's going for you elites. Because y'all the rich men. Go ahead.
And you gatekeepers.
God, yeah.
Your riches are corrupted.
Yep.
And your garments moth-eaten.
Yep. Everything got by deceit, fraud, rape, rob, and murder. Go ahead.
Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire.
Yep, the rust of them is talking about the other nations. They the ones who going to destroy this place. That's what that fire is talking about. Come.
Ye have heaped treasure together for the last days. Behold, the hire of the laborers which have reaped down your fields, which is of you, kept back by fraud, crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped and are entered into the cares of the Lord of Sabaoth.
That's the Israelites doing all this goddamn work around this motherfucker. That weekly, that's it. That's it. That weekly paycheck ain't doing it.
Okay, this is Sirach or Ecclesiasticus 14:3. Riches are not commonly for a niggard, and what should an envious man do with money? He that gathereth by defrauding his own soul gathereth for others, that shall spend his goods riotously.
Yeah. So
Riotously. It's like
yeah. So the 1/3 gonna get that. You doing all this for us.
Let's just go to.
Yeah, that's it too.
Okay. This is Ecclesiasticus 21:8. He that buildeth his house with other man's money is like one that gathereth himself stones for the tomb of his burial.
Right. So the Germans came over here to kill y'all own self.
Come.
Y'all didn't come over here to live a fruitful life for the rest of your life. I mean, for your next generations. You actually came over here to burn.
Set up.
Yeah. Haggai 2:7.
This is Haggai 2:7. And it will shake, and I will shake all nations, and the desire of all nations shall come, and I will fill the house with glory, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts. The silver is mine, the gold is mine, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it. The silver is his. He's going to shake everybody.
Yep.
Everybody coming up off of what's his.
Come.
Okay. This is page 136, back in the pictorial history of immigration. It says, sectarianism was already a recognized pattern in the United States. German Lutherans, Catholics, and Jews developed effective organizations to meet their particular needs for worship. The Lutheran churches formed in the 18th century were too Americanized for the taste of the newcomers of the 1830s and 1840s.
Yeah, all these crackers talking about they need somewhere to worship.
From their strongholds, the Missouri Synod and the Concordia Theological Seminary in St. Louis, their spokesman, C.F.W. Walther, insisted that pastors and communicants remain faithful to traditional doctrines. Catholics who recognized the central authority of Rome could not break away from the preponderantly Irish American church, but separate German-speaking parishes served the immigrants in most cities, and Isaac Meyer Weiss directed an ascent reform movement in which German Jews were active. His efforts led to the establishment of the Union of American Hebrew Congregations in 1873 and the Hebrew Union College in 1875. The German migrations of the 19th century thus brought to the United States groups diverse in background and experience.
See, that was all set up.
That was
all set up. So that goes to show you that the Germans, the French, the British, the Italians, they all be a part of the overall agenda of Edomite, of Edom.
Yeah.
But go ahead, what you
and they
say?
trying to claim, they basically trying to, that's why I see how
They
you got that
was setting
scripture.
up and establishing themselves over here in this country.
Exactly.
And the Jews, and they did it
Fucking
through this
assholes.
German motherfucker.
Yep.
He established the first, read one more time what he established.
German and Isaac Meyer Weiss directed an ascent reform movement in which German Jews were active. His efforts led to the establishment of the Union of American Hebrew Congregations in 1873 and the Hebrew Union College in 1875.
Yeah, so they was already getting them established over here in this country, so that they are the Israelites.
Yep. That's why you got the how can you say it, the Ashkenazi Jews?
Yeah.
They got the Ashkenazi Jews, the Ethiopian Jews, and it's like four or
Phoenician Jews.
Phoenician. It was 3 or 4 more, and when I was just looking it up, and it was the Spaniards in Spain calling themselves Jews in a sect, which they actually follow after the Talmud, and I'll bring that up too. They actually really follow after the Talmud, and some of them, it was like, well, we're going to break off the Torah and worship the Talmud. Those are the ones in Spain, those are the ones over there in Ethiopia, and they have the same ones that the brother just read over there in Germany. I was just reading about that 2 days ago.
And they got established here in America.
Yep.
A lot of Edomites practice witchcraft.
Yep.
That's what you find out even more.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because that's all what it is.
Yep.
That's what you have them societies for. Like here in Wisconsin, you have the American Italian societies. You have the Knights of Columbus, and you got your other various, secret organizations. And those organizations fund festivals and
religious movements.
Yeah. Yep. And religious movements and everything. That's why Milwaukee. This book keeps hitting on Milwaukee. Milwaukee is a big place for immigrants.
Yep, that hub for immigrants.
That's why you have the Summerfest there. And after the Summerfest, you have all the festivals like the Polish American Festival, Italian American Festival, African American Festival.
Yep.
Yeah. So with that,
one last scripture.
Okay. Yeah, my bad.
This is Psalms 50 and 16.
Yeah, since they all claiming that they are all religious.
Right. But unto the wicked the Most High saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shalt take my covenant in thy mouth?
Right. So why you taking the Bible, but you got the Talmud behind your back?
Yep.
Right. And you claiming, and basically, you got the whole world viewing you as these top religious,
people of God.
Yeah.
Yep. Seeing that, seeing thou hatest instruction and casting my words behind thee. Right, like the brother just said. That's exactly what they do. So, okay. When, verse 18, when thou sawest a thief, then thou consentest with him, and has been partaker with adulterers. Yeah.
Yeah, the Germans, all of them are a part of America being destroyed.
Yep.
Everybody had a hand in developing this place.
Yep. It says, verse 19, thou givest thou mouth to evil, and thy tongue frameth deceit.
That's exactly what they've been doing, declaring themselves.
Mm-hmm. Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother, thou slanderest thy own mother's son.
Right. Israel.
Yeah.
They got another scripture.
It says, verse 21, these things hast thou done, and I kept silence. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such as one as thyself, but I will reprove thee and set them in order before thine eyes.
And that's what's actually happening. You being reproved on us being wild animals because we being straightened out in front of your eyes.
Okay.
That's why this information coming out, and that's why the brothers outside don't get in no fights.
Yeah. Verse 22, now consider this, ye that forget the Most High, lest I tear you in pieces, and there be none to deliver. Whoso offereth praise glorifieth me, and to him that ordereth his conversation aright will I shew the salvation of the Most High.
Right, and your conversation got to consist of what? What you actually see us doing.
That's right.
We know Christmas is talking about our goddamn kids that ran around did this dumbass holiday, or worried about some goddamn woman and what she cared about how the house supposed to be ran. We all came to do this work. That's it.
All right, this is Isaiah chapter 29, verse 15. Say, woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord.
Which it didn't work.
And their works are in the dark.
And we brought it to the light.
And they say, who seeth us?
The Israelites see.
And who knoweth us?
The Israelites.
Right.
Surely
that's what we doing.
Yeah.
Right. You know that y'all, these Germans are Edomites.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the devil.
Fight straight out.
Cause y'all ain't slick, man. Cause all your wickedness come to light, man. Surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay.
Right. The way y'all set these societies up in y'all world, we unraveling it and showing people what's the origins of it, what's the base.
For shall the work say of him that made it.
Right. Since Yahweh Shah made y'all can't have nothing in this world that he already, basically everything in the world is for his pleasure anyway. Just like a cat and mouse game.
He made it not, or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it. He had no understanding.
That's what they thinking right now, because they trying to figure out how we able to do this.
Right.
That's basically what's going on. Going to the leader. I know you had a scripture, right?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, go ahead while he's going to the leader.
Okay. This is Ecclesiasticus 10 and 7. Pride is hateful before the Most High and man, and by both does one commit iniquity. Because of unrighteous dealings and injuries and riches got by deceit. The kingdom is translated from one people to another. Right, and that's the ultimate ordeal that we bringing out, that all this wickedness and deceit that the so-called white man has proclaimed and done, at the end what's going to happen is the kingdom is going to be translated from the so-called white man to the blacks, Latins, and Native Americans, the 12 tribes of Israel, the 1/3 elect of them.
Yeah, just read about it.
This is from the Wikipedia. Heinrich Eberhard Gottlob Paulus, was a German theologian and critic of the Bible. He is known as a...
No, it's straight. I'm on this screen a lot better. It's right.
He
can keep reading. I'm not.
He is known as a rationalist who offered natural explanations for the biblical miracles of Yahweh.
Right. So his point was to discredit the Bible. This is a German guy, one of y'all philosophers, that was trying to discredit the scriptures.
Mm-hmm. And matter of fact, this guy is where Winston Churchill and Darwin got their ideas from. Paulus was a professor of theology and Oriental languages at the University of Jena. Then professor at the University of Würzburg, he spent time in Bamberg, Nuremberg, and Ansbach before becoming professor of exegesis and church history of the University of Heidelberg, where he was instrumental in the hiring of Hegel in 1816. His theological rationalism greatly influenced Hegel's own theology. As a Lutheran of the Age of Enlightenment,
He's Lutheran though.
Right.
How y'all declare yourself being a religious? Okay, go ahead.
As a Lutheran in the Age of Enlightenment, he firmly believed in the autonomy of the individual and freedom of the individual
Right.
through reason.
Aleister Crowley took that same philosophy. So, and that's
Freedom of man.
yeah, exactly.
They really being students of the scriptures to figure out how they gonna discredit.
Right.
That's why they try to say they're a student of it.
Yep.
Wow.
And they did a good job at discrediting because look at all you stupid motherfuckers out there.
Yep. And
That's in direct violation of Revelation 22 and 18 because y'all take the scriptures and then y'all add on your philosophy and whatever madness y'all come up with just to prolong your little wickedness.
Right, and they have and a part of that philosophy, like he said, he relies on the individual. They have a philosophy called self-reliance by Henry David Thoreau, and you have another philosophy by the way of transcendentalism by Ralph Waldo Emerson. This is the core of those beliefs. It says charges of the anti. Okay. It says, as a Lutheran, the Age of Enlightenment, he firmly believed in the autonomy of the individual and freedom of the individual through reason, from the dogma of the church.
Yeah, whenever you notice, like, you got 2-3 people adding on to the conversation, you have to go back over there and read where you left off from. You can't keep starting from the end of our conversation because you just lost the thought on that.
Okay. It says, charges of anti-Semitism have been leveled at Paulus for his advocacy of the assimilation of Jewish people into German culture. In his published pamphlet, The Jewish National Separations, Its Origin, Consequences, and the Means of Its Correction, he argued that Jews were a nation apart and will remain so as long as they were committed to their religion, whose basic intent and purpose were to preserve them in that condition, in a country that was not their own. Therefore, Jews cannot claim more than the bare protection of their lives and possessions. They might certainly not claim political equality.
what's that last place about the dogma?
Yeah, it says dogma of the church.
Okay, right. Now this is why he just put up the word, the definition of dogma. He said that it's the dogma of the church, and the word dogma is a Greek word which means a religious doctrine that is proclaimed as true without proof. So basically, they just set up they statutes, they decrees, backed off of what they say. It ain't nothing that can back it up.
Right. The only thing that backs it up is their influence.
Exactly.
We the church.
Right, exactly.
We the fathers set up by God.
Right.
So he wasn't going for that. So since they weren't giving no answers, he tried to discredit the scriptures.
With that dogma.
So yeah, that's the lesson that we did on the Germans and the interior of Esau and the breakdown of how he set up his societies after being kings. Because that's what this was.
Which is nothing but Revelation 13, 1 through 5.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And yeah, stuff like this might seem boring to those who still stuck on Esau the devil, fuck
right.
Esau. So you gotta
this is
evolution yourself past that. It ain't just about going out cursing Esau out, about him, the white man, being the devil outside.
Yeah.
You have to get into the interior of this information.
It's about the prophecies. It's about the scriptures.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Yep.
Oh, with that, we say call halal Yahweh Shemel Shai. Double honors to the elders of GMS. Shalom to the Akim. Shalom, Lahab, Bachariam, Shaw Yasharallah, Kwam Yasharallah. Shalom.
Down to America.